I wanted to do another video for my love and light section because I haven't really spoken for a while. I haven't added anything for quite a while now. So now it's Monday the 29th of June. So yeah, probably about a month has gone by since I last did a video for this section. And that's simply because I really wasn't sure what to say. I've been experiencing this world that we all live in, this world that's different to the world that we knew and loved and lived in before. And I've just been trying to experience this this time as we are in the country where I am in Mallorca, trying to come out of quarantine. Trying to open up again, trying to get back to normal. I just wanted to feel my way through it slowly and lovingly and patiently and kindly, to allow myself to re-enter the world again, the city that I live in again, in the way that was authentic to me and in the way that I needed. So not to rush straight in, not to phone up all my friends and say, hey, let's all get together for a party. It was to actually just be still and be quiet with myself, and to feel my way through it in the way that seemed most natural and most loving and kind to me. And it's been a gentle process, and it's been a peaceful process, and there have been a fair few challenges on the way. Each time I push myself a little bit further, then there's a certain amount of anxiety attached to that. But each time I encounter one of these situations and I overcome it, I feel better for it, I feel stronger for it, I feel more peaceful for it. I've been for a few consultations now, but I went for a physio appointment probably about 2 weeks after things opened up here, because I had injuries that I'd incurred during quarantine, which were on top of the physical issues that I normally experience and get regular treatment for. And so I desperately needed to see my physio. So the first time I went to the practice where he works from. That was a big challenge for me, because it was like mixing with people again. It was mixing with the receptionist, mixing with him, mixing with other staff in the centre, and mixing with any other clients that were in the centre too. And it was strange, because what hit me the most wasn't actually my fear of other people. It was the sadness and the grief that I felt attached to the fact that everybody was wearing masks and that we were having to tread on an antiseptic mat when we came in the door, and sanitizing hands and having to sign a consent form in case we accidentally got sick. And it was just really sad that the freedoms that we had previously, that we appreciated and took for granted, are kind of not really there right now. And it was beautiful seeing my physio, and I really appreciated that human contact with someone else, someone new, someone who I consider a friend. And I really liked when we were saying goodbye, having a hug, because after your physio has been working on your body and it's been that close to you for that long, it seemed a bit daft not to embrace at the end like we would ordinarily. And I felt light for that. I felt lifted for that. I felt like, oh my goodness, yes, my heart and my soul are desperately yearning for human interaction after so many months of deprivation. And I've had a few treatments since, both with him and with another new practitioner who is the most amazing craniosacral therapist. And my experience with her the first time I went was quite profound and spiritual, and really just took my breath away. It was just transformational. And so that's been a nice kind of challenge, and pushing myself into new experiences, and that's part of the beauty that I have got out of this is like having extra appreciation for human contact and for being touched by somebody else. I'm very, very grateful for those people that are working at the moment and that aren't scared, because neither one of the practitioners was scared. They were both like kind of like, yeah, we'll wear a mask because we kind of have to, but they weren't scared and they didn't feel they needed to, and I didn't feel like I needed them to either. And I chose not to wear my mask because it just felt false, and it felt unnecessary, and it felt disrespectful almost to them and to us and to our work together and to our relationship. And then another challenge that I've had is having to take my dog to the vets, and that was a slightly different challenge because it was typical of the island. It was quite laid back and chaotic, and just like the control and the sanity and like sanitization and the orderliness of the dog hospital, which I personally haven't been to recently, but which my partner has. He took her because it was actually when we were in quarantine and it was further away, and it was necessary. He had to walk there because we didn't have a car at the time, so it was like too far for me to walk with him, and it seemed stupid for both of us to go anywhere. It was an unnecessary risk in the middle of the quarantine. So I was expecting that at the vet, and it wasn't at all. It was very, very laid back, and you know that even though they were wearing their masks, they were old faded masks, and they weren't really like of the proper material, so I doubt they were really like serving any purpose at all really, apart from maybe the placebo of the mask giving you peace of mind, which is I think like all I get from the mask when I have to wear it is like it's a placebo. It's literally like I put it on and I can make believe that I'm completely safe with this thing on and that nothing can get in, but really in reality we all kind of know that's not really the case, unless we've got like a super brilliant mask, like the ones that you can just buy in the shop. Like in the supermarket, the normal like surgical masks, I don't really think they're going to do anything, because even if the fabric, which I'm unsure about, was the right kind of fabric to keep stuff out, but I don't think it is. They have gaps around them because they don't fit properly, so I mean, you know, you can make up your own mind about that. And the N95 masks, again, they don't necessarily fit properly. Each different, like one that you buy from a different place is a slightly different fit. I actually have to like I have to fix them at home, like actually putting some stitches in to make them fit my face properly, but then I'm worried that the needle has then made a hole somewhere where it shouldn't have, and now it's not going to work. So I mean, I don't know, and we don't even know if they're like dense enough to stop, you know, any viruses getting in or anything, and they just make you feel like you can't breathe properly and that you're going to pass out within about 2 seconds of wearing them. So I tend to not wear my mask when possible. So I'll put it on if I need to out of respect in a situation, but if I have a choice I would choose not to wear it, and that feels better for me. That feels healthier for me, because trying to go for a walk with a mask on your face in like 30-35 degree heat, it's kind of in between those at the moment here, like you can't go very far with a mask on. It's just too hot. It's unbearable, and it kind of makes you realize how it affects your airway and your breathing when you have to try and breathe through the heat, as opposed to when you're breathing with a mask on and it's not hot. It feels different, but I think breathing with it on when it's hot really drives home the fact that it is actually depriving you of oxygen, and it's not very healthy for you. So the vet thing was like an experience, and it was nice seeing the vet again, and it was nice being in public and just talking to like random strangers in the vets, because everybody who's got a pet is like kind of talking to everyone else who's got a pet. And it was amazing because my partner was like, I was feeling really relaxed about the situation, and it felt really comfortably familiar apart from the stupid mask. And my partner was like hiding by the door, really uncomfortable, really like it was all just too close and too casual for him. So he kind of like left me like at the pet table with my dog and the vet, and he was like backed away by the door as far away as possible. And then when we left the room, he had to open the door with his hand, and then he completely freaked out and had a bit of an OCD episode where he was just like sanitizing his hand, because he said that was the first door handle he's actually touched in like 3.5 months, and it was just a bit of a traumatic experience for him, which is understandable because, you know, we have been so programmed recently to believe that every surface we touch is dangerous and covered in bacteria that's going to kill us if we're not careful. And, you know, if we touch something and then we touch our face and it goes in our eyes or in our mouth or up our nose, then that's it, we're all going to die. And it's so extreme and it's so exaggerated, and it's so, the more you think about it, the more, well, to me, the more I think about it, the more ridiculous it becomes almost. It's like, well, I've survived thus far, touching things, and I touch my face a lot. I'm a very tactile person, so I touch myself a lot as I'm going about my day, when little tiny self-soothing things, and when I'm thinking or when I'm talking, I tend to touch my face, or I don't currently, but that's like my natural thing. And so my body is used to that, my immune system is used to that. And the more we learn about the immune system, the more we're being told anyway that we need to be touching surfaces and coming into contact with viruses and bacteria, because that's how our immune system stays strong. It's like, you know, like probiotics are like healthy bacteria for your belly, and it helps to like balance out your microbiome and everything, which is like really like necessary for our whole like immune system and you know, overall functioning. Well, touching things, surfaces, and then like taking it into our mouth, that's almost like another form of probiotic, yeah, because it's like but like a homeopathic form, because in introducing a tiny little bit of a virus or a bacteria into our body from all of the things that we touch, our body then goes, oh, okay, cool, and it figures out how to react to it in a way that doesn't overwhelm it, and then we have a resilience to these things. So by touching surfaces and touching our mouth, like theoretically, it's like, oh, you've probably come into contact with like the normal cold virus that's going around that year, like quite a few times. So then by the time that you actually come into contact with a person with that cold virus, you've already got like an immunity against it, and so you won't succumb to it because of the contacts that you've had. So the way that we've all been led to panic throughout this pandemic, which has been pushed on us, it's like we have been educated to think differently to how we were thinking before, and you know, even those of us with an awareness, a previous awareness of health and immunity and all of those things, even like those of us like that, a lot of us have been swayed because the media was so heavy-handed and the message was so full of fear that it kind of shook us. And you know, I'll admit, I was shaken, I was scared, I was freaked out, I was living in panic for quite a while at the beginning of it, and I was going through all different emotions and feelings.